2019 regular meeting to order. It is 5:30 p.m. There is a quorum present. Notice of this meeting has been posted for the time and manner required by law. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
I will. Kristen Arnold. Present. John Hagemeyer.
Present.
Sue M. Powell. Rebecca Bouchard.
I'm present.
Michelle Bischoff. Present. I'm Robin Sproba, and our president is absent tonight for sickness.
You should be walking in.
All right.
Because of the large number of speakers this evening, the time limit has been reduced from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. The board will hear comments from the audience only during the public comment portion of this meeting. Groups of more than 5 people who wish to express the same viewpoint on an issue must appoint a representative to speak for their group. Please respect the privacy of others and refrain from identifying students, employees, or other community members by name. I will determine whether a speaker has attempted to solve a matter administratively through a resolution channels established by policy. If not, the speaker will be referred to the appropriate policy to seek resolution. Disruption of the meeting will not be tolerated at any time. Per board policy, the board does not respond during public comment. We do have public speakers. The first speaker is Kirby Mills. May come forward. We do have 2 minutes.
This is about an incident at Longmire Way bus stop. Let me first let y'all think that this is your first grader. In the morning, you take your first grader to the bus stop, you put on the bus. Your first grader refuses to get off the bus because somebody put him on the bus here at school and brought him back to the bus stop. But the principal called his mother and said, "Why did your little boy refuse to get off the bus?" Because he's supposed to not be on the bus. He's supposed to be in a YMCA program. Now, let's go back to the bus stop. You're talking about a one small road with no shoulders on it, where a child has to walk 2/10 of a mile to get to a closed gate. The little first grader probably couldn't even open the gate. And both cars go up and down that road continuously. I walk that road every morning. I had a lady even texting on the phone run me completely off the road. Could you imagine your first grader or second grader walking 2/10 of a mile after they get there? He could get through the gate. He's got to go 2/10 of a mile up to his house. Nobody's home. Now I know what he'd do. He'd come over to my house because I'm the next door neighbor. Whoever thought up the bus stop did not take safety in the one bit in the order. And their website, the website of the transportation says, our number one concern is the safety of our students. Do you believe that's safety? That's not safety. That's putting a child in danger. That's putting a child at risk. The man at head of the transportation said, "Oh, we only have one child." One child doesn't matter to him. One child is just as important as 100 children. I don't care who says what. And I don't believe, we have many, many neighbors I've told about this, and they're very upset. For 17 years, we've lived there 20 years, for 17 years, we have seen the bus come through. Whoever made this decision 3 years ago did not take safety into
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 2 on the list is Mr. Nathan Arizona.
Nathan Arizona, I want to briefly discuss some positive thoughts about Willis Independent School District. I've been fortunate to spend some time with many Willis students from the elementary through high school age, and I'm continually impressed with what I see. I've seen a community spirit and focus on bettering others that is second to none. I've watched as these young people have honored God, country, family, and their community in ways that others only dreamed they could do. When we see positive actions of our youth, they're not bullying one another, not taking to social media to incite anger and hatred towards others. And instead, they're standing up for those that are beat down. We should applaud them. They stand up for other students. They're standing up for their teachers and their community. There's so much more positive in Willis schools than what many of you may want to know. Listen to the students themselves. Let their voice be heard. It's much more pure than most of us adults. Recently, there's been a question about religious freedom. Did you know that every morning when the pledges are said that there's a moment of silence or prayer? They're not told they have to pray. They're not told they can't pray. Also, we've recently heard about some Harris County and Austin style sex ed and sin coming into our school. Let's talk about what the official human sexuality curriculum is. Analyze the importance of abstinence from sexual activity as the preferred choice of behavior. Analyze strategies for preventing bullying, harassment, dating violence, and sexual assault. Analyze the relationship between the use of refusal skills and the avoidance of other unsafe situations, such as abstinence. The word abstinence is taught more and more than you would realize. In closing, I'm going to ask you to support the teachers, support the administration, the support staff, the board, the students, and one another so that we can foster a positive education and a community experience that our youth deserve. Handle our issues, disagreements, and concerns.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Number 3 is Anthony Lane.
My name is Anthony Lane. I am a teacher at Willis High School. I'm also a parent of students at Willis High School. I think you'll have to decide whether the fact that I'm a teacher dismisses what I say as a parent. I have been teaching for the last 7 years in Houston, and this is my first year at Willis High School. While I was in Houston, I organized an annual conference called Boys to Men, in which we taught young men to be respectful, to be mature, to act like adults. And I was also one of many counselors that was in the Gay Straight Alliance on campus. I believe that we have a responsibility to teach kids to live in a modern, diverse world, regardless of what their beliefs may be. I know that recently there is an outcry about a drag queen on our campus, but I would argue that we probably, as a district, need to go a little further. I regularly hear the words gay and faggot used at school, and I think that as a district, we need to make an initiative to teach our kids to be tolerant and respectful.
The next one is, and I'm sorry if I butchered this sentence, Marley Poon? Sorry.
My name is Mary Lee, and I'm a mother of 2 children, a son and a daughter who went through the Conroe ISD school system. They were there for 12 years. I'm a native Texan, born here, grew up in Tomball. I speak to you today as a mother of a very involved school volunteer, logging hundreds of hours in the public schools, a longtime resident of our county, and a former teacher, public health professional, and a religious woman. Growing up in Tomball, Montgomery County, I feel like I was raised with a strong value system, just as many of my friends were, my classmates, my neighbors. I was always taught the virtue and value of kindness. My mom in church emphasized the importance of living by the golden rule, treating others the way I want to be treated. I grew up with the value of consideration for others, befriending people that were being left out, bullying, speaking up for those who were left out, standing up for those being picked on. I'm here today because I genuinely care about the values in our school system. I can see it as bold and courageous that a drag queen was invited to a cosmetology class at Willis ISD. After all, we don't see drag queens usually walking around in the Woodlands and Conroe and Willis in our parts of town. So let me share a little bit about drag queens. A drag queen is almost always male. They use drag clothing and makeup to imitate often exaggerated female features. It's well known they're really good at applying makeup. Drag queens have revolutionized beauty routines by making themselves glamorous, learning makeup skills. They do not hold themselves to a conventional idea of beauty. They don't want to look like a Victoria's Secret supermodel, and I think that's a valuable lesson for teenage girls and boys, to not compare yourself to unrealistic standards. But the large point here is that drag queens are well qualified and skilled as makeup artists, and that's exactly what they were brought in to teach. And if anyone was afraid of homosexuality coming into the schools, it's already here. Homosexuality is a real, that's part of our society. Studies show, I'm a public health professional, a good 5% at least of the population is homosexual, not just in Harris County, but everywhere. They're part of us, the kids. They're part of our school systems. They're part of our schools. We owe them the same support we owe other kids.
Thank you, Ms. Poon.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have Ms. Rachel Walker.
My name is Rachel Walker. I'm a parent in Conroe ISD. I'm the engagement specialist for the Woodlands Pride. I'm an ally and I'm a Christian. The latter is why I feel compelled to speak to you today. In an article published in the Courier, a parent, husband of a teacher, and board trustee for Conroe ISD is quoted as saying, "It's not like we need to protect LGBTQ. We need to protect conservative Christians." Statistically, Christians in the United States suffer the least persecution of any group. They are the majority. Historically, any majority faces very little danger for simply existing. Christian youth do not have a high rate of suicide or self-harm. However, the statistics about LGBT persons, particularly youth, tell a different story. We teach our kids that words matter and we should always do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And yet we have a WISD parent and spouse of a teacher calling an at-risk people group vile. Your words are dangerous, and doubling down on such hateful rhetoric has shed much needed light on the hate that is being spread in our community. That kind of hate has no place here, and as a parent, I will not stand for it. Our kids don't need protecting from drag queens. Our kids need protecting from such hateful and bigoted speaking. The Woodlands Pride was asked to speak about our festival on local TV during the Oak Ridge Home campaign. That invitation was then withdrawn because some felt it would be too political to have us speak about the festival. And yet here is a well-known member of the community openly inciting hate from other parents based on his politics. I was standing on that field during homecoming to watch my daughter on her drill team. I got to witness an openly gay kid get crowned homecoming queen. I listened to her peers who voted her in that title cheer wildly for her as she was crowned. What it means to be kind and inclusive. It is us parents that need a refresher. You said that Kevin Brady is praying for you. Well, I am too. I'm praying that God would break your heart for what breaks his, that God would give you eyes to see his children as he does. They are his beloveds. They are not vile, and you calling them as such surely breaks his heart. Anytime an LGBT kid thinks that God doesn't love them because of something said in his name, it breaks his heart. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I'll see you at the CISD board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Next on the list is maybe Roxana Mills, possibly, or Roxana Mill. Sorry.
Yeah, my name is Roxana Mill, and I'm a taxpayer of the Willis School District, and I probably won't get any applause. I couldn't get the superintendent or the principal to even take my phone call so I could ask questions, but I don't understand why decisions like this that are flammable would be, who makes these decisions? There are Christian children out there that their parents don't push this agenda. I mean, yes, we have to live in the world, but we don't have to push a certain agenda. And my Bible says, love the sinner, hate the sin, but you don't promote it. Thank you.
Next, we have Ginger Russell.
I stood before this board about 7 years ago bringing attention about the C-scope curriculum that had infiltrated the schools. It just seems like it's only gotten worse and digressed. And the ultimate truth of anything is God's word. That's where you get ultimate truth at. And I'm just going to read some scriptures. In Deuteronomy it says, "A woman shall not wear man's clothing, nor shall a man, whoever does these things, nor shall a man put on a woman's clothing, for whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord your God." In Proverbs 12 it says, "There is a way which seems right unto a man, but its end leads to death." Mark 9:42. And whoever causes one of these little ones who believe to stumble, it would be better for him if, with a heavy millstone hung around his neck, he had been cast into the sea. Romans 12, verse 1. I urge you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living, holy sacrifice. I read the wrong one. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good, acceptable, and perfect. And I have one more. James 4:17. Therefore, to one who knows the right thing to do and does not do it, to him it is sin. If you read God's word, it is not all inclusive. It says narrow is the gate. And whoever thinks it's appropriate to bring a drag queen to this school wearing men's clothing, it's just despicable. Just despicable. And how dare you, grown? Who's responsible around here? It's like adults are not adults anymore.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Next is Joanna Johnson.
Thank you. As earlier, we had a lady come up here and explain what a drag queen was, and she was pretty much on the mark of what a drag queen is. It's usually a male. Usually they wear drag clothing and makeup to initiate and exaggerate female gender and signifiers. And in modern times, the drag queens are also associated with gay men and gay culture. But the queens can be any gender or sexuality. Basically, I've done a lot of research in this, and writer David Frazio shows that the way to get our children to accept the gay culture is to convert kids to liberalism. And if they have any belief in God or any understanding of biblical morality, retraining them through education. And if their parents are conservative or have taught them anything other than what aligns with the LGBTQ, which I'll just call it L from now on, ideology, then draw them away from it. This simply goes against my belief as a Christian and a productive citizen of this county. It's also being done with my tax dollars, and I am a taxpayer, and I do not agree with how our tax dollars are being spent to promote this agenda. Basically what it is it's a systematic rollout with more confusion. It will take little effort for you to understand that the current plan is to force the drag queen and the L people into our communities across the country, and that is impressionable among children, and the children are the vehicles as to how to make it happen. There are actually workshops that teach on how to celebrate queer sex, get into the schools, and how to manage pushback from the concerned parents. We see that if one speaks up against the abomination, they're accused of violence against the L community, and they do nothing but spread the hate speech. Overall, it's not difficult to understand that what happens here is they want to remove God, His law, and any fixed moral authority that He has, and guess what? If you do that, then anything goes. The anything goes mentality leaves young people in confusion.
Next, we have Dale Inman.
Good evening, honorable board members and everyone else. I am disgusted that the administration underneath you has tried to change this issue about their terrible decision of inviting a drag queen to teach children by making disgusting allegations and retaliations against me. Instead of focusing on the issue of having adult entertainers in our schools interacting with our children, they have instead attempted to flip this story on its ear and attack me personally as the whistleblower. The Courier saw fit to link this story to this story as if somehow they were germane. For anyone claiming to have journalistic integrity, this was a disgusting thing to do. And based on the support that's here tonight, this issue is getting from the community. It seems that many people see exactly this colored and slanted attack for what it is. To be clear, my words do not reflect on the honorable trustees of this great district. My words are respectfully submitted to you for your information. The event was advertised as a drag queen makeup class. It could have been announced as a makeup class, but it wasn't. It was addressed specifically as a drag queen makeup class. To this day, we have still not had any explanation of what this person's expertise was other than they were a drag queen. The only requirement was that they were a drag queen. Who's responsible for authorizing this adult entertainer who works in the sexually oriented business industry to enter a Willis High School and lay hands on our children? If they think this is okay today, then what should parents expect next year, or 2 years, or 5 years down the road? Look, this is not about makeup tutorials, and we all know that. This is about a couple folks imposing their own social agenda and seeking to normalize the drag queen lifestyle and exposing it to our children. I want to thank the person that brought those comments up. I have the same concerns. 40% of the LGBTQ community attempt suicide at some point, and this is tragic. 92% of them do so before the age of 25. A young person now following Lynn Adonis. Thank you.
Next we have Stephanie Hodgins.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. As you know, my name is Stephanie Hodgins, and I serve our district as the principal of Willis High School.
Boo.
It is with great, I let you talk.
Show some respect.
It is with great pride and deepest appreciation that I hold this title. Outside of being the mother of 2 children under 5, being a high school principal is the most demanding position I have ever held, because every decision I make stands to impact a large portion of our community. Since I'm relatively new to town, there are many people in our community I have not had the good fortune to get to know. And as I often say to our teachers and staff, in the absence of communication, people tend to create their own narratives. And because I believe that a campus is a direct reflection of its leadership, I'm here this evening to tell you a little bit about Willis High School. First, you should know that our staff is on a journey to become a model professional learning community, which in a nutshell means that we are working toward becoming a true collaborative team with a laser focus on student learning and student growth. We make decisions, always keeping in mind these questions. Is this what's best for kids? Is this going to help them grow academically? If the answer to those questions is no, then we move on. But if the answer is yes, then we are moving in the right direction. To summarize, great things are happening and will continue to happen at Willis High School. Appreciate your time. Thank you for listening.
Rocha.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Rocha. I'm the founder and CEO of the Woodlands Pride. First off, thank you so much. I'm not a voter in Willis ISD. I live in Montgomery County and I reside in Conroe ISD. I'm here just to ask, like, what is the fear? I mean, realistically, like, what are we afraid of? And obviously you can't answer because I have a mic, but like, what are we going to do to you? Somebody said earlier they don't want their kid, the agenda, to affect their kids. Well, I'm 34. I had 30 years of impressed heteronormative lifestyles, and I'm engaged to a man. Can you believe that? So there was no weird heteronormative impressions that were set on me. For 30 years that happened. And now I'm happily engaged and we'll be married next year to Matthew Pepper. So, to the other point, Ms. Russell mentioned clothing. You're wearing jeans. Can women not wear jeans? What is considered men's clothing and women's clothing? Why do you give me moral authority in that?
Can you address me
Can
directly?
you let him speak, please?
He was, but he shouldn't be
So,
addressing the audience.
furthermore, if, just love one another. If you want to talk about 40% of attempted suicides, you want to know why?
Yes.
Because they didn't feel love.
Dale Inman,
I already spoke.
put your name down twice.
Oh, sorry, someone else must have really, I apologize.
Gary Buckaloo.
I just want to thank you again for allowing me to express my concerns when it comes to the issue of having an adult entertainer, or in this case a drag queen, in our classrooms with our children. I say our classrooms because that is who they truly belong to, the taxpayers, the parents of the children with whom they are being entrusted. You are the school board, you are the ones that name the superintendent, you are the ones that fill the positions that are needed to operate, to function daily. You set policy and handle budgeting and financing, and we trust you to represent us, the community, from which you are from. You're supposed to adhere to the standards set by the community, I would assume, and that we would expect that you would hire those with family values that stand in line with the very people that elected you. We would expect that each person placed to educate our children would also have the same views in their community and as a standard as a whole. I believe without absolute certainty that having a drag queen come into the school under an alias, and that is what I ask, the name of the person that was an adult entertainer under the stage name would have access to the children's real names, Twitter account, Instagram account, whatever it may be, does not represent the majority of the people in this community. I've spoken through phone calls to people with certain authorities in the school district, and I asked for resolve that would be so we could quietly walk away from this feeling better, knowing that those that we trust will do the right thing by the majority, but instead it seems the defense of those few have been made. I only asked to know who personally this person was the proper protocol, and if it was followed, what has been put in place to ensure it does not happen again, and other than hearing the words it won't happen again, I have heard and seen nothing. I want to trust this board, my school board, the school board elected to protect the children and only academically educate them, nothing more. I want to trust the superintendents, the principals of each school in this district, and hold the same values, and hope they hold the same values that I do, as well as my community. Please give us resolve. We trust you, and we trust this won't happen again. Tell us where we go beyond we just made some adjustments, because we want to trust. If not, what shall we do?
Thank you, Mr. Buckaloo. David Riley.
School board, members of the community, I'm a pastor of a local church, and I'm not here to bring judgment, I'm here to share love. And I'd like to meet with you after the meeting and tell you if someone loved you enough to die for you so that you won't have to die. My question is not about dress or makeup. My question is about character. Character is the issue here. Character is who we are when nobody else is looking. Character is what every one of the school board members were elected by. Your experience, your education, we're all on that docket, but you're elected based on your character. The people that stand before our students as teachers are all hired because of their education, because of their experience, but if they have a character that is below the standard of this community, they would not have been hired. My question is this: who examined the character of the person that stood before our kids? I understand, I read that there were some changes made, some policies that have already been changed. I would be interested to hear what those policies are at some point during this meeting.
Next is Anne Marie Kennedy.
I have my notes on my phone. Usually tech challenged, but I pulled this one off, so. My name is Anne Marie Kennedy. I have a daughter in Conroe ISD. I kind of don't look at boundaries in the sense of what happens in one community affects another. And my concern is that the dichotomy has been made that it's Christian kids and GLBT kids, or Christian people and GLBT people. That's as if the GLBT kids can't be Christian. And that's so far from the truth. The dominant religious culture in the U.S. is Christian. So it's going to be really hard for Christians to be harassed to the point that they would be suicidal. Would they feel a little ostracized if what they wanted to do a report on or whatever, that they felt uncomfortable? Yes. I don't believe they feel in danger for their health and safety. They're not going to get beat up and pushed into their locker. They're not going to be shot. They're not going to be beaten up, etc. My concern also is that it's not just quote-unquote the gay, lesbian, and bi kids. It's anybody that's perceived that way is in danger as well. So, for any of you who have a sensitive son, and you're wanting to encourage his sensitive side because he's an artist, he could be perceived as gay and be beat up. I'm not advocating anybody be beat up, but it's the perception.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you.
Next is Ginger Pilot.
Hello. I don't have a whole speech right now. Really what I wanted to come here and say was thank you to the school board. I have a student that goes to the high school, and actually a foster kid who goes to the high school. And I have received a tremendous amount of support from the staff. When I reached out to Ms. Hodges, I got back, we serve all of our students, all. No matter the religion, no matter your gender identity, no matter your sexual identity. Two different things, okay? They support all of our kids. When I asked my child when he came home, hey, have you heard about the incident in cosmetology? There's a little uproar going on Facebook. He was just like, no, what happened? Oh, well, a drag queen came and taught makeup. Oh, that's pretty cool. They're really good at makeup. I was like, well, they sure are. You know, I can't do that good of a job. So he just had no clue that this kind of thing was going on. Like, people were upset. It was the adults that were upset. And then I heard about the people upset about the GSA flyers going around. Students had to sign for GSA to be started. They wanted this present in their school, just like they want the various fellowship groups, various other groups that are going on for your kids, because your kids want them. And believe it or not, some of your kids are in them because they don't have to share your beliefs, okay? They see what's going on. They have the internet, so it's not just the stuff that they're seeing at school, but the internet opens their eyes. You have to learn to embrace. Diversity and inclusion is everywhere. It has to be everywhere. Otherwise, those suicide rates, many other issues are going to come up and impact your group. And that's just not acceptable. So I appreciate that the school supports diversity and inclusion. And I mean, that is everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard. Next, we have Sherry Franklin.
I'm sorry, I found the wrong paper.
We have, next is Scott Baker.
Good evening, my name is Scott Baker. I am a resident of Willis, a taxpayer, and I have 3 children in this district. One of them goes to high school, frequently in close proximity to the cosmetology department. There's no question that I am impacted by this issue. Let me be clear, this is not about what a lot of people have brought up in this meeting on both sides of the issue. This is about positive role models for our children, especially my children. If you were to invite a female adult entertainer into the classroom in any capacity in one of these schools, anybody in this room would think that that would not be appropriate. How is it any different to invite a male adult entertainer into the classroom in one of our schools? This is not a positive role model. I don't think anybody in here could look me in the eye, or anybody in this community could look me in the eye and say, that is a positive role model for my child, regardless of what orientation they are, regardless of whatever freedom they choose to express outside of the classroom. We have a choice of who we call in the classroom as positive role models. Are you telling me that in the city of Houston, in this greater area, we live in the most wonderful community in the world, you couldn't find, out of the thousands and thousands of available positive role models in the cosmetology industry, you couldn't find one that was not involved in the adult entertainment industry? I find that very curious, and is very telling about what we're talking about tonight. We need positive role models. We've heard the statistics. These kids are at risk every day, and who we put in front of them as a positive role model is important, and that is what we should be focused on. Amen.
Authorized by Title 5, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, Sections .071 through .084, 551.074A, discuss teacher resignations, consider approval of teacher appointments, Texas Government Code 551.074. It is 6:08 p.m.
Agenda like we do. I'm almost surprised they didn't change it.